So you guys were one. I'm hearing a lot of you guys. You guys wanted a theme song shortened, so here we go. This girl reviews movies, games, and books. Sometimes she plays them. So does that? And when she does it with the cat, does that make her crazy? Does that make her crazy? Probably. So it's shorter. There you go. Crazy Cat Lady Gamer Reviewer or Martha Butler does not own any trailers or pictures. I use them under fair use, educational, for education and entertainment purposes. Hey everybody, Martha here. So today we're doing this video won't probably go up either Tuesday or Wednesday. So this is for Little Women, the new version. I think there's been like four or three versions of this movie. So, because there's a version when my mom was a kid, there's a version when I was a kid, now there's a version when you guys are kids. If there's any kids that watch this video. Um, so for like a little what this movie is about. It's based off a book too. Um, a girl named Jo who has three other sisters. I'll name them in like order like they're born. We got Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, who were all alive during the 19th century. They're kids during the Civil War because their dad's off in the war. So mostly their mom is the one that's raising them right now. So you see them as an adults and as kids. They're like when you see them, they're teenagers, so ish. But they're all played the same exact actresses, so it's not the version where I watch was the one that has Cameron Diaz when she was like 10 years old in it, and when you could tell when back when they're back when they were when they were teenagers or kids is when you saw her because when she was when Amy, because she played Amy, you just knew that you just could tell by who's playing Amy, then you know what time period you're in. In this movie, the way you can tell what time period you're in is I don't know. You just have to remember to follow along with the story, what's going on, because the movie does start out when they're adults. It's right when Jo's trying to get her book published. One of her books published, not the one that she's. It does start out the one that she is trying to get. She does eventually write the book about her life because it's what it's what Beth wanted her to do. Is write a book about their life as a kid. So as kids, and they like what they do as kids is that they would like put on plays, go around help people that are not as um as well taken care of as them, like people who doesn't have enough food. They would bring food to them and stuff like that, and help take care of them and do plays in front of them. That's what they would do to keep themselves entertained. Um, Only Amy went to school because back then they didn't have that. It was hard. It was really hard for them to do schools, and back then they would only have boys. They only have um, girls with girls in schools and boys with boys in schools. They would have them separated in different schools. So, and there is also a boy next door, somewhat named um, laundry. Teddy. That's what Joe called him. And Lowry, I have a hard time remembering his real name, so I'm just gonna call him Teddy. And he has his dad just has him being taught by a tutor. So mostly like Amy's the one that Joe mostly teaches on like Beth and Joe Beth and um Meg how to do stuff. But but Amy ends up like getting hit for drawing a bad thing, drawing her teacher in a bad image. By rulers back then, teachers were allowed to hit you with rulers, and he did hit her pretty hard, and so they just pulled him out of school because mom did not like her daughter getting hit like that with the ruler because it did leave a pretty big mark. So um, now Joe's teaching her, and when Teddy comes, Teddy brings Amy home, and her dad, what's actually his grandpa. So grandpa realizes that Beth likes playing music, which so did his daughter, who is no longer alive. Um, and so him and Beth have end up having like a little strong bond. He feels like, I guess you can say that he feels like Beth kind of gives him like a makes him helps him deal with the fact that his daughter's dead. Because him and his daughter, both those two have a long common. Both of them like play piano, so it's like a way for him to keep his daughter alive in a way. So, um, Teddy ends up joining their little play clubs after his tutor sessions, and since Meg is like the oldest, she ends up like send to a group where she's looking for like a husband and stuff like that. And Teddy does end up being there because he probably like wanted to be the suitable ones when they I don't know how much older he there is between each other, but him and Joe are the ones who end up like each other. During right now, it's mostly a friendship, but and Meg likes his tutor, so they end up like going to plays together. But Amy, being the younger sibling, wants to go with them, being the fifth wheel. But Joe says you're not invited, so she didn't get to it. She's really angry. So Joe likes to write books, so since she ends up writing this story that I'm telling you about, and her book gets so she ends up burning Joe's book while she's gone at the play. And when she gets back, she wants to go and write down what she saw in the play, and like give her like a little idea for something for one of her plays that they do at home. And she was gonna write it down, and she realizes her book is gone. And Beth says she doesn't know, but Amy says she's burnt it because she was wanting to make her angry, and she says she would have probably done to it like burn her dress, but she's not into it. She just wouldn't care about that, so just went after the book instead. So for like a while, um, Joe's not does not want to forgive Amy. So and both her and Teddy go ice skating on a pond. Amy tries to follow them try to get her to apologize, and they go ahead because Joe wants to get away from Amy because she's still mad at her. And so Amy's off on the pond alone, and she comes across like thin ice, and it breaks. So she goes into the water. They're able to get her out, but she has to like be in bed for a while because she could get hypothermia from being in that water because how cold it is. So they have to like keep her warm. And Joe was scared to lose her little sister, so she cares more about her being warm and stuff like that than the fact that she burned her book. So, and while this is going on, Beth is going to like houses that are like, and one of the houses she goes to like to get food and stuff like that, and ends up having a family member who has Scottish fever, and she ends up catching it. When she comes home, she finds out that the neighbor gave her his daughter's piano, and he's happy. She's happy about it. So she goes over to his house and said thank you. But he realizes that she has a fever, and this is when she is starting to get like really hot because that's how it works. She would get a really big fever, so they had to keep her try to keep her her fever going too high. So they end up sending Amy away to their aunt, and so she doesn't catch it because it's contagious. It's very contagious, and since she's the youngest one in the family, they don't want her to get sick. So so that's why they sent her away. And before this, it was Joe and her aunt who are the ones who are really close. But now, after this, after Amy spending a whole bunch of time over there, ends up being her who because she's gonna take Joe to Europe to like help her like find a husband and stuff like that. And because back then you had to be either be if you're a woman, you had to be either be rich to be well taken care of or have a husband. It was like it was bad. It was like bad look to for you to be not to be married really back then. So as an adult, and um, her job was going to go take one of them to Europe and help them get a husband that way. So she was going to take Joe, but she ends up taking Beth after this, and taking Amy. And Beth ends up eventually getting better from the fever. So she eventually gets better from as a kid, but in Meg ends up marrying Teddy's tutor. And after the wedding, Meg, Teddy ends up asking Joe for them to get married. But Joe tells him that we would not be happy. So and he keeps on asking her the whole entire time, basically. But she keeps on telling him, basically, we would not be happy. So she ends up like going to New York to get her books published, and and also being like a teacher. I think an English teacher, and Joe Meg is with her new husband. Um, Amy is in Europe with her aunt, and now Beth's still at home because I don't know. I'm trying to like who's like own adults now. I think Beth's still not considered adult, even though Amy is off in Europe. But I think eventually, again, because this is when they're now adults, Beth ends up catching the fever again after a while because she has a relapse, and so when this happens, Meg ends up like telling her husband after after she like wanted to get dressed, but she kind of him having a little fight that she kind of hates being poor, and um, so because teachers are poor, so yeah, but she ends up asking him, "Can I go back home to help take care of my sister?" And he lets her, and Joe ends up going back home too because she wasn't able to. She's having a hard time when her books published, and she's also like she also has a guy who's like want to talk to her and wants to be her friend, and they have a little fight because I guess he did not like her book. So she left home and found out her sister is sick again, and she ends up taking care of her sister until she dies. While this is going on, Amy and Teddy are starting to come having a relationship, but she's also promised to somebody else. I think a guy named Frank there, but she ends up tearing him down, and she ends up actually getting married to Teddy. And when she finds out that her sister is sick, um, she and her aunt and Teddy end up going home. And Joe decided that she made a mistake, that she did not marry Teddy. She was going to send him a letter and and trying to link him to ask her again, but when she finds out that her sister married him, she decided, okay, and she realizes that those two love each other, and she said, and Teddy tells her that, um, I will always love you, but I love your sister in a different way. So, and you said you're right. We would not be happy with each other. So, and this is when Joe's friend that they had a fight with comes down to tell her that he's gonna go to get a job in a different state, and basically he her sisters are like telling her he wants you to tell him to stay, so they make her go after him, and Teddy takes her, and he's like, I never thought it would take Joe to go and get to another man, basically, and um and while this is going on, like Amy's linking her to look pretty and stuff like that, and she goes out to go to the train where he was going to go to his new job, and she goes into the train station, and he's already outside waiting for her, and she's like under an umbrella, it's raining, and he looks like let her know, they both let them know that they love each other and they want to get married, and he wants to marry her, but he's warning her, I had nothing to give you. He says that's okay. So that's where the story ends, and she's also getting her book published right now here, and talking to the publisher, and the publisher wants this. She was gonna make it where she does not get married in the end of the chapter, so and because she believes for a long while that you do not need to be married to be happy. So, and the fact she wanted to put that in her book, and like the proposal, like, no, we're not going to do that. We have to have her get married at the very end. So yeah, so that's what the last chapter is called. So this one is not as good as the one I grew up with, but based on all the remakes I've watched recently, um, it's okay. It does a good pass. It's like I said before, it's hard to tell between the two different time periods. So um, yeah, so you just have to remember what's going on during that time period, and then you'll be able to follow. And so I'm gonna give that. So that means like the pacing's not as good. So I'm gonna give it like 8 out of 10. That's all that gives it. Okay, bye. So I'll see you guys later. Like, share, and subscribe, and bye bye.